Thanks so much. Great singing this morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Kalamazoo. This is on. All right, there you go. I'm Karen Colson, your platform person for today. Thank you, music team. Thank you, Randy. If you're joining us for the first time, we'd love to have you fill out an information packet. There should be a yellow card in the pew in front of you. And if you would fill that out and give it to an usher, they have a small gift for you. And we welcome those of you who are joining us for the first time online. Thank you all for joining us today. And thank you everyone who helps make all of our Sundays so special. Our music team, streaming and sound, our PowerPoint, ushers, and hospitality and script upstairs. Thank you, everyone. I do have a few announcements today. So tomorrow, our office will be closed in honor of MLK Day, and there are lots of events that are happening in our community. Today, Isaac is sponsoring a talk at 4 p.m. at Mount Zion Church. Tomorrow, Unity Worldwide Ministry is hosting a panel discussion. This is highly recommended by Reverend Judy. And you can search Be Unity on Facebook. This event is at 4 p.m. tomorrow. And on Tuesday, we are planning to meet at the State Theater. The program begins at 6 p.m., and it's the National Day of Racial Healing, put on by TRHT, which stands for Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation. There'll be music, speakers, and it's free. So wear your Unity t-shirts and meet us there. Again, that's 6 p.m. Tuesday at the State Theater. So today we have a special treat. Donna Odom is here to talk about racial healing and Martin Luther King's dream. After service, Donna will share some history regarding the Underground Railroad in Southwest Michigan during a lunch and learn. So this will take place around 11:30 upstairs. And in light of this, our Unity and Community team will be meeting next week instead of this week. So all are welcome. If you didn't sign up, know that we purchased lunch in accordance with the number of attendees we had. So just be careful in regards to how much you take. I'm sure there'll be enough. So again, we're very fortunate to have Donna here with us today. She's the founder and past executive director of SHARE, which stands for the Society for History and Racial Equity, here in Kalamazoo. She's a native of Chicago and holds a bachelor's degree from Kalamazoo College and a master's from Loyola in Chicago. Most recently, she's featured in a new book called The Third Act, Reinventing Your Next Chapter by Josh Sapin. So we appreciate you being with us here today, Donna. Okay, and everyone, including you at home, please join me in our mission statement. As an all-inclusive community, we awaken to spirit, grow into our soul, and build a better world. And our vision statement, we celebrate a world of ever-awakening consciousness, abundance, peace, and love for all. Stewardship, oneness, and playfulness. And now it's time to send our children downstairs for their special services. So let's rub our hands together and bless them as they come into the center aisle. As you go your way, know that you are loved, special, and important to us.
in the place of the seekers, God will always be. It doesn't take very many. It can be just 2 or 3, and I feel the sweet, sweet spirit that I felt on times before. Surely I can say I am with the Lord. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's praise. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's praise. There's a holy rush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
Surely the Lord is in this place. I can feel his mighty presence and God's grace. I see glory on each face as we move into the holy hush that surrounds us and speak of world peace. I rest my heart in the peace of God. Around the world, so many souls are joining us in our prayer for peace. While the news may give more attention to points of conflict, there is a striving and yearning in the human heart for peace. Our prayer supports that desire and strengthens the bonds of love that lead to greater harmony. I begin my affirmation of world peace with a soft and open heart. I am comforted as I realize the advances the world's people have made over the generations to live together harmoniously. I make an effort to live a more peaceful life and bridge the gaps of understanding between myself and those around me. I focus my attention upon our shared desire, a peaceful world of cooperation and goodwill. Our shared desire, a peaceful world of cooperation and goodwill. This is my heartfelt prayer. Those of steadfast mind you keep in peace because they trust you. Isaiah 26:3. And now as we move into meditation, let's just take a few moments just to quiet ourselves. Find a comfortable position in the pew. Feel it supporting your back and legs. Rest your feet flat on the floor and your hands comfortably in your lap. Close your outer eyes if you're comfortable in doing so. just bringing your awareness to being here in this moment. The sounds, the sensations in the body, the thoughts arising and then passing away. Being aware of the breath in its natural rhythms. Coming to the middle of your chest and start to focus right in the middle of the chest, as if you were breathing in and out of this point in the middle of your chest. Let the breath make the place soft and warm and liquid and light. Soft, soft. If you feel hardness or coldness in the chest, soften it, warm it with the breath, just allowing the sweetness of the heart. Soft, sweet, flowing, light. The quality of radiance coming from your heart. Softening, listening. And now, using your imagination, imagine everyone in this room has exactly the same place in the middle of the heart. A place of light, a place that is liquid, that is soft, radiant, and warm. All of us in that same way, and yet so different in all that surrounds that heart. If you knew that in every human being there was that quality of spirit and truth, and that's what you focused on when you met another person, how different would it be? Now expand to all of the people that you came upon today, in your homes, on the sidewalk, on the drive-through at the coffee shop, other drivers, those you met as you entered this building, wherever you went today, and think of those people as another point of light, a container containing an essence, a quality of softness, of caring, of warmth, of light. Think of the people you interact with today, and think of how often, how frequently, or infrequently, you remember that the light that is in the center of the container. It's as if the body is the holder of the light, and often the holder or container is so opaque that you cannot see the light. And the people keep saying to you, I am the container. And when you remember, you say to them, you are the light. In the days ahead, pause and remember that light in the center of your being. Because unless you can see your own light, how can you truly see another's? For it takes a light to know a light. Who will you meet this week? Will you meet partners, or children, or parents, or business people, or people asking for money, or social workers, or politicians, or grocery store cashiers? Is that who you will meet? Or will you meet the light in its various ways of being contained? Any time of the day, you can always come back to the breath. Bring the breath as if you are breathing out of the middle of your chest, and with each breath, brighten the light that sits in the middle. Soften, warm, brighten. Let the light shine. Let the light shine. Now let's begin to bring our focus back to this room. Open your outer eyes when you're ready as Randy shares her special music with us.
Just tell us the piece before you start. Just the title of the piece. Just tell us before you start.
Good morning. When Brent and I were choosing what music for me to sing today, he showed me the reading for this week, and it was all about peace and rest. So this is Mendelssohn's O Rest in the Lord from his big work, Elijah. Oh, I need the mic. Okay, cool.
O rest in the Lord, wait patiently for Him, and He shall give thee thy heart's desires. O rest in the Lord, wait patiently for Him, and He shall give thee thy heart's desires. And He shall give thee thy heart's desires. Commit thy way unto Him, and trust in Him. Commit thy way unto Him, and trust in Him, and fret not thyself because of evildoers. O rest in the Lord, wait patiently for Him, wait patiently for Him. O rest in the Lord, wait patiently for Him, and He shall give thee thy heart's desires. And He shall give thee thy heart's desires. And He shall give thee thy heart's desires. O rest in the Lord, O rest in the Lord, and wait, wait patiently for Him.
That was lovely. I was just talking to Karen, and I was saying, that speaking in front of a group is like right up there with death as far as the fears that people have. And I'm like, how can people get up and sing? Just lovely. Thank you. And thank you guys so much for having me today. My involvement with Unity goes way back until late 70s in Chicago and then in Oak Park, Illinois. So this is very special for me. In speaking with you today, we're talking about celebrating Martin Luther King Day and the National Day of Racial Healing. So I'm going to try to bring those two things together and answer three questions. How do King's philosophy and the concept of racial healing that we developed at SHARE as our racial healing initiative connect? 2, how did the Racial Healing Initiative come about? And then finally, how do the 4 components of the initiative function? And those components are healing, facing history, making connections, and taking action. In answering the question of how King's philosophy and the concept of racial healing connect, I point out 2 quotes from Dr. King. First, we who engage in nonviolent direct action are not the creators of tension. We bring it out in the be opened with all its ugliness to the natural medicine of air and light. Injustice must be exposed with all the tension its exposure creates to the light of human conscience and the air of national opinion before it can be cured. He says we bring it out in the open. That is what is so integral to the concept of racial healing. Facing history, acknowledging the past, as he says, in all its ugliness. And then the second quote of Dr. King, here is the true meaning and value of compassion and nonviolence when it helps us see the enemy's point of view, to hear and if we are mature, we may learn and grow and profit from the brothers who are called the opposition. Let's take a look at that. See the enemy's point of view. We may learn and grow and profit from the wisdom of the brothers who are called the opposition. That is where healing and making connections become important in racial healing. How did our racial healing initiative come about? Well, the organization began as a historical society. I was working at the Kalamazoo Valley Museum and was given the assignment of updating the information for the planetarium show based on the Underground Railroad. My research on the Underground Railroad and attending the meetings of the Historical Society made me aware first of the history of African Americans, the rich history of African Americans in the region, and second, of the fact that there was no organization devoted to researching and documenting that history. So I enlisted a small group of friends to help in organizing the Southwest Michigan Black Heritage Society. We officially became a nonprofit in 2003, and we began doing and sharing our research. What led us to expand our mission to include racial healing was the race exhibit. That exhibit was brought to the museum in 2010 in partnership with Western Michigan University. It was developed by the American Anthropological Association. Their statement as to how and why the exhibit came about is the following. In the United States, both scholars and the general public have been conditioned to viewing human races as natural and separate divisions within the human species based on visible physical differences. With the vast expansion of scientific knowledge in this century, however, it has become clear that human populations are not unambiguous, clearly demarcated, biologically distinct groups. The continued sharing of genetic materials has maintained all of humankind as a single species. Physical variations in the human species have no meaning except the social ones that humans put on them. Today, scholars in many fields argue that race, as it is understood in the United States, was a social mechanism invented during the 18th century to refer to those populations brought together in colonial America, the English and other European settlers, the conquered Indian peoples, and those peoples of Africa brought in to provide slave labor. That statement, essentially affirming that race is a social construct, formed the basis of the race exhibit. Our organization was transformed as we joined over 30 other groups as part of the Race Exhibit Initiative, a series of educational programs and events based on the concepts featured in the exhibit. We saw our role as providing the historical basis for the initiative. We showed the film Traces of the Trade, which tells the story of filmmaker Katrina Brown, who discovers that her New England ancestors were the largest slave trading family in U.S. history. She invited 9 of her cousins to retrace the triangle trade. They visited the family hometown of Bristol, Rhode Island, slave forts on the coast of Ghana, and the ruins of a family plantation in Cuba. The experience made a powerful impact on family members, and one of the cousins, Tom DeWolf, wrote a companion book to the film called Inheriting the Trade. As part of the Race Exhibit Initiative, our organization brought Tom in to introduce the film and to give a talk on his book. We learned from Tom about the group called Coming to the Table. That organization brings together descendants of enslavers and descendants of the enslaved for healing and reconciliation. After that, we were inspired to commit to a 2-year racial healing initiative. We kicked it off with an invitation to Tom and his writing partner, Sharon Morgan, to speak about their book, Gather at the Table. They had met through Coming to the Table, and in May in 2011, they set out on a road trip as part of a larger healing journey. A Black woman and a white man, a descendant of slaves and a descendant of slave traders. Together, they traveled more than 6,000 miles through 21 states over 4 weeks. Their objective was to explore historic American sites through a specific lens, to learn how they each felt about race, how it affected their lives and the American narrative, to understand the view from the other side, and to ponder how we can move beyond the legacy of slavery. Again, we see that concept of seeing the other side. In 2015, we changed our name and our mission to include racial healing. The example of Tom and Sharon and of Coming to the Table led to the forming of the basic elements of the Racial Healing Initiative: healing, making connections, facing history, and taking action. So on to how those components function in the initiative. First, we have to open our hearts and minds in order to take in those lessons, and that's a process. The first is healing is the inner work. The second principle, making connections, is closely related to healing. We are again emphasizing the importance of really seeing the other person. In a survey taken during the uprisings in Ferguson, Missouri, after the police killing of Michael Brown, an unarmed black teenager, the majority of white Americans said they came regularly in contact with only a few African Americans. And a 2019 poll reported that 21% seldom or never interacted with any people of color at all. In 2016, 3/4 of white people reported that their social network was entirely white. Approximately 94% of the cases showed a relationship such that greater contact is associated with lower prejudice. Contact reduces our anxiety in relation to other groups and enhances our ability to empathize with other groups. Racism is based on fear, and we fear most what we don't know. It's important to have spaces where community members are given opportunities to connect across racial, gender, and generational barriers. It involves sharing stories about historical harms and how they have been manifested in our lives. People from different sides of the historical trauma create a shared collective story. Why is this important? Because to create an equal and balanced community, we must include the history of all the groups that belong to it. When one group's role is emphasized more than another's, it gives an incomplete and inaccurate understanding of history and leads to false and inaccurate conclusions. One way of sharing the stories is through oral histories. There, we allow people of color to control their own narrative and see the value of their personal experiences. Racial healing retreats, composed of a diverse group, allow participants to share their stories and life experiences in a non-threatening and supportive space. Here again, let me repeat 2 points I highlighted in the quote from King. Seeing the point of view of the other and learning and growing and profiting from the wisdom of the brothers who are called the opposition. Events where individuals and groups can recognize the shared humanity of other people and other groups, and where they can appreciate their different journeys and even their different experiences of the same historical period, all of that can make a difference. The essence of the importance of this element of the initiative, making connections, is the African traditional philosophy of Ubuntu, expressed by Desmond Tutu. They know that they are diminished when others are humiliated, diminished when others are oppressed, diminished when others are treated as if they were less than who they are. The quality of Ubuntu gives people resilience, enabling them to survive and emerge still human, despite all efforts to dehumanize them. With facing history, the third principle of the initiative, we come to the second quote from King. We who engage in nonviolent, direct action are not the creators of tension. We bring it out in the open, where it can be seen and dealt with. Injustice must be exposed with all of its tension to the light of human conscience and the air of national opinion before it can be cured. Recently, the Southern Poverty Law Center did a study on how our schools teach American enslavement of Africans and concluded that the topic is being taught without adequate breadth or depth. As a result, Americans are unable to draw connections between historical events and the human struggles for racial equality, or to see how the world they inhabit was shaped by the institution of slavery and the resulting ideology of white supremacy. The lack of understanding of our true history serves as a roadblock to progress in acknowledging and overcoming the harms of white privilege and the recognition of race as a social construct. High school seniors struggle on even the most basic questions about the American enslavement of Africans. Textbooks fail to provide comprehensive coverage of slavery and enslaved peoples. And as we know today, it's becoming even more difficult to teach that kind of thing. Studying stories of those who self-emancipated through the Underground Railroad, for example, belies the idea of the complacent and downtrodden enslaved and highlights their resourcefulness and resilience. Dr. King echoes their spirit in these words: "If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward." This is where each of us as individuals fills in the blanks. This is where each of us decides what will be the next step in the journey of your own personal transformation. Keeping in mind that it is an ongoing process and begins with the place one finds oneself at any particular point. We often refer to it as spectrum. There are those who, after much self-reflection, attempts at making connections, and studying of history, are still unable to find ways to step out and take action. Then there are others at the opposite end who declare themselves allies, ready to do battle against racism. It's important to accept where you find yourself on that spectrum and commit to continuing the process. To quote King again, "This is what God needs today. Men and women who will ask, what will happen to humanity if I don't help? What will happen to the civil rights movement if I don't participate? What will happen to my city if I don't vote? What will happen to the sick if I don't visit them?" This is how God judges people in the final analysis. I close with the following words to you, and these are words I heard spoken at the funeral of John Lewis. Be kind, be mindful, recognize the dignity of every human being, be the best version of yourself. Be informed, stay engaged, answer the highest calling of your life. Thank you.
I'm Beth Odekirk, a member of your board, and I want to personally thank you, Donna, for the time you took today to help educate us, help us understand how the message of Dr. King continues on through the work of organizations, through the work of gathering and putting hearts, minds, and feet to racial healing. So thank you again for your presence today. For those of you at home and in the sanctuary, would you please join me in our January board affirmation? Unity of Kalamazoo is a magnetic and vibrant spiritual community spreading love, happiness, and joy. We are thrilled to begin our amazing journey together with our right and perfect new minister. And as the ushers come forward, would you take your tithes and love offerings out and help me bless them with our offertory blessing? Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
year, I'm not looking back to who I was, because I'm gonna be someone I've never been. This year, I'm not focused on the cracks in the walls, not keeping track of all the times I fall. This year, so long to last year, it's all becoming so clear. There's no use living in regret. Let's fight a good fight, train our eyes to find the light, and make this year the best one yet. Starting right here. Happy New Year. This year, I can't wait to see what good will come. To feel alive instead of feeling numb. This year, I plan on thinking less of I and me. I resolve to think of us and we. This year, so long to last year, it's all becoming so clear. There's no use living in regret. Let's fight a good fight, train our eyes to find the light, make this year the best one yet. Starting right here. Happy New Year. So long to last year, it's all becoming so clear. There's no use living in regret. Let's fight a good fight, train our eyes to find the light, and make this year the best one yet. Starting right here. Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
And as the ushers come forward, let us pray. Mother, Father God, we thank you for our many blessings. Please receive these offerings with all the love that is being shared today. Use them to circulate prosperity throughout our community and our world. We thank all who gave today and throughout the week. And we pray that you continue to be with us in our hearts and in the heart of our nation and our world. And we know and affirm that everything is in divine order. Amen. All right, and if you will stand for the prayer for protection, and that includes you at home. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And now we'll close with our peace song. So if you're comfortable, you may hold hands with your neighbor, or just place your hands over your heart and connect within.